Have you ever stopped to think about how much of your life is being written by a story you tell yourself? Not a grand narrative, not anything dramatic, but simply what you believe about who you are. The truth that most people don't realize until they've lived long enough to see it playing out is this: the things you experience, the opportunities you find, the relationships you keep, none of them have much to do with luck or fate. They have everything to do with what you believe about yourself in your quietest moments. Self-belief isn't confidence. It's not arrogance. It's not even really about believing you're talented, smart, or special. Self-belief is the quiet certainty that you belong in this life, that you are allowed to take up space, to want things, to grow, to become someone new without apologizing for it. And here's what happens when you lack that belief. You live inside a version of your own potential. You look at doors and wonder if they're really open. You see people who seem more comfortable in their own skin, and somewhere deep down you believe you're missing something essential. And so you move through life cautiously, carefully, with one eye on the ground and the other wondering where you might have gone wrong. I want to be honest with you about this. Self-doubt isn't actually a character flaw. It's a story we've been told by our parents, by our teachers, by the people who didn't understand us when we needed it most. And sometimes by ourselves, because that's how survival works. You learn what gets accepted and you shrink from everything else. But here's what no one tells you. Stories can be rewritten. The brain is a prediction machine, not just an observation machine. It doesn't see reality directly. What it sees is filtered through the expectations you've built up over years of thinking certain things about yourself. If you believe you're not enough, your nervous system will quietly hunt for evidence to confirm that belief. A missed opportunity, a harsh word, a quiet moment of hesitation. All proof, apparently, that something inside you wasn't quite right. But flip the belief, and suddenly the same world looks different. Same events, same people, same days. But now your nervous system is scanning for what's possible instead of what's wrong. And not because everything changed outside of you, because something shifted inside it. I've met people who have lived with a quiet conviction that they didn't matter. Not dramatically, just gently and persistently, like someone walking around wearing glasses that tint the whole world gray. And then one day, without any external rescue, without anyone telling them how great they were, something broke open inside them. They realized, I am allowed to want this life. I am allowed to take up space. I don't have to earn my right to exist by being useful enough. That moment, when belief shifts, is the most powerful thing a person can experience. Not because it changes their circumstances immediately, but because it rewires what they notice next. So how do you actually build this? How do you start believing in yourself when everything inside and around you has been whispering otherwise for so long? First, you stop treating belief like something that requires permission from the outside world before it can exist. Self-belief doesn't need proof first. It needs commitment first. You choose to believe not because you have evidence yet, but because you're tired of living with less than your own worthiness demands. Second, pay attention to what you say when no one is listening. The thoughts that race through your head in the shower or before sleep, those are the real architects of your life. Notice them without judgment, and then gently begin offering yourself something different. Not positivity for its own sake, but truth. You can tell yourself honest things about who you're becoming. Third, start collecting small evidence of trust that you've placed in yourself. Every time you kept a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthened the foundation. Every time you chose your own well-being over other people's expectations, you expanded it. Belief grows through repetition, not dramatic leaps. Repetition. Fourth, give yourself permission to outgrow who you were yesterday. The most exhausting form of self-doubt is when we judge ourselves by standards that belong to versions of ourselves that no longer exist. You're not supposed to be the same person at 45 as you were at 22. Growth means leaving parts of your history behind, and believing in yourself means trusting the version of you that's still being written. I want you to know this. There are people around you who seem completely sure of themselves right now. People who walk into rooms like they belong there, and most of them are lying to you about how much doubt lives inside them. The ones who appear unshakable have simply made peace with the fact that certainty is not required for movement. You don't need to feel 100% confident before you take a step forward. You just need enough belief to keep going after the first one. And I want to say this too. If self-belief feels impossible right now, if every attempt at it has ended in some private disappointment, this isn't a sign that something is broken inside you. It's a sign that the stories you've been living inside are very, very old and very deeply woven into how your nervous system responds to possibility. Old stories take time to release. They don't disappear overnight, but they do loosen when you stop reinforcing them with every thought and action. You have spent enough years trying to prove something to yourself by being perfect or useful enough or quiet enough. The cost of that has been measured in moments you didn't speak up, chances you didn't take, versions of life that never got lived because the story told you they weren't yours. But stories stop having authority over us once we decide we're no longer willing to be held hostage by them. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm saying it's real and it works, and real people with real fear and real pasts are doing it every day. They've stopped asking for permission from their own minds before stepping forward. They've learned that self-belief isn't a personality trait you either have or don't. It's a practice, like breathing. It requires returning to it again and again, especially on the days when doubt is louder than ever. You will not become someone new overnight. What happens instead is subtler. Slowly, your life begins reflecting what you believe about yourself. Not because the world changes around you, but because you start noticing different things, making different choices, saying yes to different versions of possibility. And then one day you look up and realize that this present moment isn't as far from who you've wanted to be as it seemed yesterday morning. The unshakable power I'm talking about isn't a force that keeps the world away from you or protects you from every disappointment. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet knowing that whatever comes, loss, failure, uncertainty, you will not break. You have survived versions of this before and found your way back. So belief in yourself is really just trust in your own capacity to endure and grow through what's coming next. And I want you to carry this with you as you move forward. The thoughts you hold about yourself aren't just passing clouds that drift through your mind. They're architects. They shape how you treat yourself on ordinary days, who you allow close enough to see your struggles, which opportunities you even notice when they pass right in front of you, what risks feel worth taking and which ones feel impossible before you've tried them. Your inner conversation is the most important one you'll ever have, and it can be rewritten. It starts with a single moment where you choose yourself over the old story. Not forever, just this time. And then the next day again if needed. And then again until the new belief becomes familiar enough that doubt no longer has as much room to speak. I'm not asking you to believe in something grand right now. I'm asking you to believe in one thing. That you are worthy of being honest with yourself, that your potential matters even when it's still unfinished, that the person you're becoming is worth trusting more than the story that told you otherwise. Because self-belief doesn't begin with certainty about who you'll become someday. It begins with trust in who you already are, flaws included, history included, all the imperfect steps included, and faith that each of them belongs to a life that's still being lived. You get to choose what story you tell yourself next. And every choice you make based on that belief will shape everything you experience from this day forward. So choose carefully, choose bravely, choose in favor of someone who deserves to exist without apology and wants to keep growing into the person they've been too afraid to meet for a long time now.